Well, in this video, allow me to explain to you my opinion on why you should learn art in order to appreciate art better. Let's get started. So last week I watched an anime. It's called The Lord of the Mysteries. Beautiful anime, by the way. I highly recommend. And then I realized I've watched hundreds of animes in my life, but never before have I truly appreciated the underlying things that make an anime good. Things like the art style, the cinematography, the sound choices, the ambient lighting, color schemes, all of these things. I've never really cared about them. But this anime that I watched, maybe it was because of me starting drawing, but I was looking beyond just the story. I was also noticing other things like why are they using this color scheme here? Like what is this style of artwork called? Uh, why does the architecture look so perfect? Did they use photo bashing or was this hand drawn completely? Why did the director choose this kind of camera angle? You know, all of these things. This made me realize that me learning art, or me learning drawing, has actually helped me understand or develop a different level of appreciation for the art form that I consume. There are actually two ways of enjoying an art form. It can be anything. I will talk about especially drawing and music in this case because those are the two art forms that I have practiced, but this can go into any other art form. Artworks in general are made to be consumed by general public. There's like no doubt about it. Appeal to masses is what I would say is one of the biggest selling points of good art. There's like this weird relationship where every art that goes viral is good art, but not all good art go viral, if that makes sense. But there are certain artworks that you do not have to be a pro, that you can just look at and you will be like, holy shit, this is good. Even the anime that I mentioned earlier, Lord of the Mysteries, if you watch it without any like animation knowledge, which I didn't have any, or even like art, drawing, color theory knowledge, you would still appreciate how good of an artwork that is. And there are many art accounts on Instagram which have millions, thousands of followers, and I'm guessing not all of those followers are like seasoned artists. There are also probably just people who think this art looks really cool, right? And that is the first stage of art consumption and appreciation. That's the beauty of art, is that it can appeal to general public via the story that it tells, the composition that it sets. Anybody who has not read Berserk but sees one of the world building things that Kentaro Miura does would immediately understand this is a really good piece of artwork. Like if you just looked at this panel, you could probably tell it's like something horrible is about to happen, right? Even in music, there are some songs, or if we're talking specific, there are certain solos, guitar solos, which you do not have to be like a great guitarist or music student to understand. For example, the solo for Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd, if you've heard it, you can just listen to it and say, this is insane. This is a beautiful piece of art. And that's because of the story that it tells, the mood that it sets, and final end piece is like this big collection of emotions and everything that the artist poured into and which somehow resonate with the consumer. And that's one dimension of consuming art, is just you consume art as a final product and understand the story, the message, the emotion, the vibe, whatever that it's trying to give, and resonate with that art piece. That's how you sort of appreciate art. And the other dimension, let me give you a quick anecdote here. Like I go to museum, like I've been to multiple museums here in Paris, but sometimes I just stand there. I'm like, okay, this painting looks good, depicts a soldier during revolution on his white horse, amazing, and then I have nothing else to go after that. Like at the same time, I see people around me and who are like appreciating everything. They're even taking notes, appraising everything, looking very quietly. And sometimes I even see people taking like these thumbnail replicas, which I never understood why, but now I know it's to study the masters, right? Understand the process. You understand the artistic choices that the artist made. The thing about artistic choices and the process is that they come together to create the final product, which is the earlier dimension. But these artistic choices by themselves can also be studied in order to better grasp the beauty of the artwork. So the appreciation of the process or the creative choices, That is the second dimension of appreciation of the artwork in general. But where does this appreciation of choices, artistic choices, come from? It comes from our understanding of the art form. People go to art schools, they go to music schools, they read music theory, they study like art fundamentals, they take courses, and this is all to understand the art form, the medium better. But not everybody has like the time or effort to start studying everything about the art medium that they enjoy. I mean, you should try to, definitely. Like when I started learning guitar, I couldn't just learn how to play solos. It would have been better for me to just first learn the music theory and then the pentatonic scales, and then the solo just sort of fits in along with that narrative. But in today's world where people unfortunately do not have enough time to learn about their hobbies or their creative art mediums, I think the best way to just develop this understanding of art form is to attempt that art form yourself. That's like the easiest first step. Just attempt it, try it by yourself. And it doesn't even have to be like a detailed or a nuanced study of the concept, right? It can just be as simple as learning the fundamentals in terms of drawing. It can be something as simple as learning the shape language, learning a little bit of color theory, why this artist chose this color or what this color is trying to signify, understanding composition. In music, it can be something as simple as learning the pentatonic scales and just sort of seeing how major and minor chords influence the emotion, where the major chord is sort of making things sound more happy while the minor chord is making things sound a bit more sad. And this will serve to achieve two purposes. First is to make you realize that this art form is indeed really hard, and whatever this art piece you're probably looking at or listening to is a result of years of hard work, training, trials, and errors that will make you appreciate the effort better. And then the second thing is you will also be able to put things into perspective when you're sort of appreciating art as to why this thing makes so much sense. An example of this that I can give you is I remember seeing these articles about Michelangelo and his, sculpting. And there was this one post where there's like a muscle that he has carved right here, which is only visible when you lift your pinky or something like that. Like there's a small twitch here in the muscle that is only visible when you lift your pinky finger. Now that I know like the anatomy of the hand and how such a small detail that is, and how despite being such a small detail he has managed to capture that so beautifully, it just makes me appreciate the art even more. Now when I'm walking around the streets of Paris and every time I come across a statue, I can sort of appreciate the three dimensionality, the choices that the sculptor has made in order to tell the story better, because I am learning how to create three-dimensional art in paper myself. And I know that this is hard because my artistic choices are nowhere near what they draw. In fact, I was doing some of the board plates exercises myself, well, not trying to replicate them one by one, but sort of doing these exercises, trying to make things three dimension. But the fact that I'm doing this, fact that I have the knowledge of this, makes me appreciate these sculpt makes me appreciate these sculptors even better. Or every time I see somebody drawing really expressive hands, I'm like, okay, this is a really talented artist, because my hand drawings look kind of bad, right? And this is the beauty of this second dimension of art consumption and appreciation. You can understand why artists made certain artistic choices. And I just think it's a neat next step in art consumption. It can just be something as basic as trying it for yourself, realizing that this shit is hard, and then learning a bit more to sort of improve whatever that you are doing wrong. And I think this also leads to a circle of influence where many people are sort of inspired to take up an art form because they were inspired by the art piece. I wanted to learn how to play guitar because of this one solo. It was from the song Soldier of Fortune by Deep Purple, and actually practicing guitar made me appreciate the music even more. It made me appreciate the note choices, the effort that the artist put into pouring that emotion into that melody. Me, I don't know, I'm an optimist, so I would also like to think that this sort of breeds passion, it breeds encouragement, and it also breeds appreciation for beginner artists like me, or even other artists who people usually label as being bad. What happened to Van Gogh when he was alive, or when people look at some of these abstract artists and they're like, this is not art, or these short form slanders calling modern art bad. But with the rise of digital, social media, and this notion of art going viral and stuff, I feel like not all art, good art, goes viral. There are so many underrated artists. And let's say an artist makes two art pieces, one of them goes viral, other doesn't. This will, I've seen it lead to some artists just resent their art because they think the virality, or like the consumption, the final consumption of artwork is really what matters. Well, that's not necessarily true. And it ties to the first point that I said, where all popular art is good art, but not all good art is popular. And also, I think with the rise of generative AI in art industry, what these AI bros or AI artists usually focus on is the end product, where they are like, oh, I can give a prompt and it generates image for me easy, but they never sort of consume art from this second dimension, which is the process, the emotion, and the artistic choices that the artist puts. And if you're tired of seeing this AI art being pushed everywhere as a consumer, what you can do is maybe just learn a bit of art fundamentals, try it out yourself, and then you learn to appreciate the artists, like real artists, even more. If you're an artist, a beginner artist, keep doing what you're doing, and that's really the only way to fight AI art, is to fight machinery with your humanity, with your personality. Because it's not just about straight up plagiarizing art with AI, it's also about how the AI cannot really work on this second dimension of artistic choices. It's soulless. It's soulless, it's straight up theft, and I will not hear any opinions. So, my main takeaway from this video is art is best enjoyed by indulging in it. And this means looking at art through two dimensions, one from the perspective of end product, and other from the perspective of creative choices that go into making that. Hopefully, understanding even just a little bit of art fundamentals will open up this cycle of inspiration, creation, and appreciation to the fullest, and it will probably help people enjoy art a bit more, and it will also breed encouragement and inspiration for newer artists to come. Yeah, that's about it. I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.